Hello everyone, I'm Xiaogan. In this lesson, we will start importing our project resources. First of all, you need to find the resources for a project. You can copy them from my project. That's perfectly fine. That is, you can directly copy the resources from my plugin. If you want to simulate it, you can also download them yourself. For our study here, I recommend that you all use this version uniformly because it has a version number. Different versions may have slight differences. We use one version uniformly. That's it. You won't run into any strange issues. Then we take this thing and copy it into the third-party library resources. It has these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 header files. Then add three libs. We bring it over. Then now come to our project. It should be this one. There is a flag here. We find our web. Then under the master module, find our third-party external dependency module. Find it. This is the path for this. Then we directly put it. Let me see. We directly put it here. Sometimes we will add some public. In this place, your personal habit. Might write some code in certain places. Add some public. These are all fine if you pay attention. You might need to make it able to include these few copper keys. That way, we don't have to worry about it. We just place it like this. That's also okay. After placing it, we need to have it compile this label. So first, we find this place. Then here, we make a simple distinction. Because we mainly use Windows, so here, pay attention to this bracket. So after finding Windows, what then? Then we can actually remove this. Let me think about it. Well, let's ignore it for now. Then we can just add this here. Add these 3 lines of code. And the meaning of these 3 lines of code is that at our current location, we need to add an internal-external module. So this path is our module. The second path is this one. So this path is under the current path. It's just that. Let's open it. Under this path, there is an x64. Then there is a re. So, okay, so these 3 bring our 3 brothers in. Then we still can't see it here, right? We can let it refresh. Refresh the project. Let's reload it. After the reload is complete, let's compile it first now to avoid some issues. You'll see that the compilation passes now. So how do we verify if it was successfully included? Then we can do it here. There is a BP library here. Let's just delete it. Let's call it Gyogang Simple. Simple Web. Let's call it Weixing. MSI. Then we call it get. Get method. And this, we give it an f8 return an at goal, and we don't need it to pass any parameters. Okay, here we can do it like this. Display them. We'll just call it this name. And for queries, we can spread them out a bit, like this. XG simple web app. And for the category, we'll call it just simple web app. Okay, after doing this here, we instantiate its implementation. Okay, so now we obviously need to obtain the version information of such a thing. Let's first locate it. Let's check if there are any version information interfaces here. You can see that in these same header files, this decoder, there is a WebJet decoder version here. There is a get version here. You can see, obviously, these things all have this version, so we can just provide any version. Well, how do we do it? Let's come here. This method directly. It can be called directly. We are here, right? Obviously, this won't work at this time. You can see it will work this time because it doesn't have it. We need to include this header file. Let's do it this way. We usually include it like this. Let's see if it works. Let's take a look. Of course, including it this way won't work. We can find it. It's EQH. Right, you'll find that this way, it actually doesn't compile enough. It cannot find this path. So what can we do? Actually, we can put this here and make it public. We can do it this way. Let's give it a try. Let's move it in. Let's refresh it. Let's refresh the project. There are actually many ways to implement this. It just depends on how you want it to be included. Just include it however you like. Okay, it's normal that it can't be found here. Let's look elsewhere. Let's change this to build only. Okay. See, at this point, it doesn't report any errors. You can see. Okay. Now let's take this version. We can find this version. Just make a simple note of it. We are mainly in the public folder, so it's very simple. There is a decoder version here. See, the first one is this. Let's record it, and here's dmax bmux. We can see there are actually some example codes here. You can take a look. Yes, let's follow this order. Then we placed this one. This mux has a version. See, defining it like this requires a red one, but we mainly need to find a method. It should be this one. This type should be gone, right? Obviously, this type is a defined type. Okay, let's ignore it. This type should also be gone. This is for allocating memory. Okay. At this point, it is obvious to us. We need to include these files. Because this is our first commercial library in the general ledger. So I'll try to explain it a bit slower and more detailed. Okay, then we didn't put this mux in. Okay, let's compile it now. Okay, so we need a string code. We use printing for, and we give it a simple one. We concatenate it. Let's make it bigger for easier writing, or we can give it an intersensor 2 here. That's fine. We give it a decoration. Okay, then we call it WeChat 2 or WeChat. This counts as one WeChat. Okay, now let's concatenate its string. So first, let's take an info message to connect. Then we put this thing in here. Okay, generally at times like this, if you are packaging your own stuff, you can send an HTTP request or verify the key, etc. to check the user of this plugin, whether they have the permission. We currently have no such requirement for this. Later, we will actually make something similar for everyone when there's time, although we have already done it. That is, we can set up a server. The server verifies its own plugin management permissions. This thing is quite like this. We'll cut it off here to avoid it being too long. You can't see it. Then we here. Put another one. There is one here. Change all. Then in this case, we need one version. Okay? This way, we can get 4 versions. Before we make this version, we do this. Let's change this writing. We give a boolean. Then we put this F street here. Output equals to an info. And here we give it a function storage. We give it a blueprint. Okay? Then we change the function signature, right? Here we change this part. Okay, then we put this information here. Return it here. Then we give a boolean. Did we successfully obtain it? This solution. Then here we give a Then let's try to compile it like this. There should be no problem. There's an error here, right? Let's check the reason for this error. Find the cause of this error. Let's reproduce the scene for everyone. That is, suppose we see this kind of link to 20 error. You can see, usually it's because either you didn't import the corresponding module, or this thing of yours didn't find the corresponding implementation. You will notice this section marked with yellow lines. Let me explain to everyone how we troubleshoot this issue. It took me about 2 to 3 minutes. I identified the problem. Actually, I won't give you the correct answer right away. Let me walk you through the process. Obviously, you can see from the location that this function is causing the problem. So the first thing we do is to comment out this function. You say, directly comment out this function. Then we will find. Right, this function can be compiled successfully. Then let's use this shortcut like this. Okay, so this proves that our problem lies within this function. This is the rubber duck debugging method. Then let's check them one by one. That is, if this place is empty, this part is empty. First, let's check if the third-party modules we imported are problematic. You will find then there is a problem here. Obviously, it is not related to our third-party modules. So obviously, it is this function. It did not find its own implementation. That is, it did not find this. Because here, you only declared it. In a function, its implementation was not found. The reason was not found. It's because we are missing this here. Maybe it was omitted when it was created just now. After we fill it in, you will find that it now compiles successfully. Right, okay. So we have identified the cause. Now, restore the code we commented out one by one. So yes, so this is a rubber duck debugging method. Minor, good. Now, we can compile successfully like this, and now we still need to continue refining the details. Then I prefer to include a header file like this here, because this header file will provide us with some common header files. It should be fine if we can't click into it. Let's ignore it for now. And here we need to set this permission to public, because it's possible that our C++ users might also want to call it. Then we need to add an export macro. The export macro is basically the module name plus this API. We can just export it directly in the class. Okay. Then at this point, the compilation should pass. If there's still time, this thing is definitely fine. Print a log, give a set of number. So what we need to do now is to create a simulation plugin for everyone, a way to use permissions. For example, should we give a variable? We give it a bool, then b, static bool. We'll call the bool. Let's call it b auth, meaning whether it is authorized. Then our initialization. Put it outside. Need to itemize it here. We give it a false, meaning no authorization. Okay, that is, we assume we don't have this permission. Then you are not allowed to use this plugin. So in this place, if this place is correct, we will only let it execute such an operation. So actually, you could write it like this, but writing it this way is not elegant. We usually write it like this. Like this. If there is no authorization, directly give it a pause and then we give this here. Then if authorized, I go down and then we can print a log, right? For example, if you don't have this authorization, then obviously we write a log here. For this log, we just copy one from our previous log. Let's just copy this one. Yes, like this, because all our projects are written in one code file. It's very convenient when we copy the code. When you're at work, you can bring it into a project. If you don't know how to write it, or if you're developing on an internal network and can't access the external network environment, you just copy my process to your local machine, and then take a look at how the code is written. This is a very convenient thing. Then we go back here. Okay, so now we have this log. Once we have this log, we need to use that in the Piku libwebp. We need to include it. We just include it here. I usually like to separate these. put our own image files on one side and put the system files on the other side, or categorize the image files like this. It will be more convenient when you encounter problems later. Let's just write a log like this. As for this log, it should be called this. Let's give it an L-level log. Yes, we give it the plug EA. Bit loss cannot be used. Please keep sitting. Okay, so right here, it's showing red. Let's check what the reason is. The reason for the red is obviously here. We haven't changed this log yet. Here, when we declared it, it was pasted over. Forgot to change it. It just didn't find this log structure. Okay, good. This place. Actually, we can also print a log. We can print it in Blueprint, or we can print it in C++. Let's just print a display level log. This percentage is also, then we dig this string here. We'll just put it here directly. Let's return a true. Then at this point, we definitely don't have authorization yet. So let's write another method. Let's write a method called getAuthorization. So the method to obtain authorization, we should follow the order. We should instead do it here. We call it set auth. Then the method to obtain authorization. No parameters need to be passed, but you can pass some keys in. That is also completely fine. This is at the callable level. That is, it needs to modify data. This name is called setXG. Then we cover it, web. As for me, for classification, it goes under this category. Okay, let's create its implementation here. Here, we can just change this to TOL. This one has no return value. Okay. In this lesson, although we're only covering a bit, it will take another 20 minutes. This one hasn't been. If it hasn't refreshed, we'll ignore it. Maybe it will refresh in a moment. Then we need to give another log. Give a log. Let's call it acquisition successful. Authorization successful. Okay, then later we will also talk about encryption. After finishing the encryption topic, everyone can perform some encryption operations. For example, operations like CDK. These are no problem. Let's start it up now. Then we can send HTTP requests to obtain authorization. We can also do this kind of encryption using key information to obtain authorization. Or we can even do game session time limits and things like that, all of which are fine. But here we will just use one function interface to represent it. Let's wait for it a moment. Let's verify that our lessons end here. Okay, what we need to do is still the same. We hit NLP here. We can just do it directly in the blueprint. We obtain this authorization during its big pay. Here we input directly. Just now web found it right. Then if there is an X-web here, there should be this. We first obtain this version information. Obviously, we won't be able to get it the first time. Right, we can just do it like this. Clean stream. Here. We flatten it out. Now after we obtain an authorization, let's retrieve it again. Right. We didn't use this boolean directly. Let's ignore it for now. Actually, you could create a branch with this boolean here, because if it fails, you just exit the game. Right, that's also fine. Then let's put it here. Obviously, here, this place, Look, the version information here has actually been retrieved. And here you'll notice there's some garbled text here. You can see this place has already been obtained. Obviously, this place hasn't gotten this garbled text. And the reason is actually very simple. Let me explain the reason for this garbled text. It's because here we can see that its file format is incorrect. Why is it incorrect? Because I recorded the reinstallation of the environment for everyone a couple of days ago. So the one I had here is gone. There's a U here. Let me check. It should be UTF-8, right? Because our first chapter seemed a bit too messy. So I'm reinstalling the environment for it. You will notice this environment might be slightly different. I'll reinstall it here. Okay, actually you don't need to look at it in the end. We reworked this part. It's already arranged here. Already. After we export it, it will automatically reload. Okay, we have already installed the plug here. You can see it here. Just leave it as is. We'll just launch it directly. At this point, you can see this part is still like this. We might need to force another change. Just change this. Change it to UTF-8 format. It should be ours. So generally, we should not write this kind of thing in this code. And if you absolutely must write it, if you need to write it, it must be in UTF-8. How do I change this? You can see, let's edit it, then save as. Help me change it to UTF-8. And maybe several of these files have similar issues. I'll fix it later. Everyone, if you have similar issues, you can troubleshoot along these lines. Let's test it again here. Okay, let's take a look. Let's bring up the log window. You can see this placard is unauthorized and cannot be used. Please contact the author. Simulated authorization successful. Let's check the blueprint in our log. Actually, both have this version number printed. The current version is 66,304. We'll stop here for this lesson. Thank you, everyone.